excited. I think it's gonna be good.
Hey, my name is Shawn Kanungo, and this is the first episode of Dangerous Ideas. This is a podcast where we break down concepts and frameworks that will change your life. And every week, we're going to be dropping episodes, sometimes with guests, sometimes just solo. And we're going to be talking about some of these different ideas and different takes. And I'm really excited because this is the first episode of this podcast. We have a couple people here. We got Adam O'Brien. You want to say what's up?
Yeah, man. What's up, dude? I haven't heard the name yet. That is
Dangerous Ideas.
That's awesome, man. I love that.
We got Mo.
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm glad to be here, man. I'm excited, and wait, man, we're doing it.
Well, so I was thinking about this podcast for a very long time. In fact, you guys don't know this, but I have been in the podcast game for a very long time. Back in 2015, I started a podcast.
Whoa!
And then over time, I've started things and I've dropped them off. This right now, this is it. I'm going to be doing this for the next at least 10 years.
So what's so different about this one then?
This one is, to me, this is infinite because I have this lifelong goal, this mission to help people change their careers, their lives, their businesses. And so I wanted a way of like breaking down different concepts and frameworks that I use in my life or things that I'm just interested in and getting people to understand them, dive deep into them, maybe even bringing pop culture references or things that are happening in the culture today that relate to those particular ideas. And I just wanted a vehicle to do this, not only for my own life, but for other people. But what do you think about the name Dangerous Ideas? I just wanted your take on it.
Adam.
Dude, I like it a lot. I was sitting here, I heard that, I almost jumped up. I was like, damn, that's good.
It's fire. It's fire.
So the way that it's going to work, I'm going to bring up 4 or 5 different concepts.
Okay.
And I'm gonna introduce it, and then I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on it.
All right.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with the first one.
Okay.
Which is this idea that one person can change the life of a billion people, and in addition to that, one person can build $1 billion businesses. One person can build $1 billion businesses. Why is this the truth today? Well, why will it be the truth today? We are living in the age of infinite leverage. The idea that you have, technology is becoming increasingly more commoditized. You have artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. I mean, this thing is on an exponential scale. You have media at our fingertips. Anybody can create a show, a podcast. And the ability for us to connect with a particular audience, the ability for us to connect with 1 billion people has been easier than ever before. And so you're already seeing it with people like Kylie, creating massive organizations just by her audience. Logan Paul.
Dude.
We talk about Logan Paul and Prime. I think Prime is valued at $250 million business right now. It's just today, the most important currency is trust. It's attention and distribution. And the people that have it today can build massive businesses. It's part of the reason why I wrote the book, The Bold Ones. It's part of the reason why I'm doing this thing. I see the power of audience building. So I know it's a radical idea, a one-person billion-dollar business or one person making a billion-dollar impact. What do you guys think about this?
Dude, I think you hit it. It's distribution. And that's actually maybe why I don't know if it's possible. So I think there's outliers, obviously, right? Let me look at Elon, for example. I don't know if you call him one person or not, but he's obviously changed. I think you missed Mr. Beast is like
Yep.
dominating I think I read somewhere that he's got a guy who they trained for 6 months just to follow him around, just to think like him. Like, that's who's running Feastable now. He was just like, sit in my chair, follow me around for 6 months. Don't say a word. Just follow me for 6 months.
Love that
think how
idea.
I think, learn how I think, and then do it. And so I think we're starting to see this automation of human, but the distribution is so centralized. And what I mean by that is Kylie is a good example of someone who doesn't actually do it without Instagram, who doesn't actually do it without, I don't know, Disney, I think, did their Kardashian show or whoever it was before that. And if you are exposed to the platform on giving you yes or no on, like, I mean, look at Trump right now. He's not allowed on
Yep.
certain platforms. Right or wrong, doesn't matter. His influence is determined by some policy set by somebody else. So I don't know if
You're
we've hit
saying,
that.
you're just saying that
There's problems.
There's problems.
Risk. There's
Right.
risk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But what if you just build it through email? Like I look at a guy like, I follow him on Twitter. His name is Sahil Bloom. He does all these like concepts, these frameworks. He's got an email newsletter that he's been pumping. He's been like working with other creators to pump his newsletter, and that's. I mean, you could say email is decentralized.
Yo, totally. Email is a protocol. Email is is at the root of protocol. You don't need, Google's permission. You just go to somewhere else. It's just protocol. And we haven't, I mean, up until now, like we've got Nostr now, which I was telling you guys a little bit about a few weeks ago. Nostr is the protocol of social media. Like in that same way that email is decentralized, Nostr is making, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it might be, more decentralized, giving us this true autonomy over our networks and over our capacity to have influence amongst a billion people.
Totally. And I know, Mo, you've been hearing me talk about this a lot in my keynotes, and it's funny because I always talk about this to corporations, and I don't know if they totally get it, but I would say that, somebody like Joe Rogan, for example, Joe Rogan is a one-person media company. Of course, he has Jamie in the back, and he probably has some other people, but he has more influence than the New York Times
CNN.
or CNN, and those are 1,000-person organizations.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, can people become a $1 billion person by themselves? I think so. I think the leverage of social media, the access to information, and just you building something is easily feasible. But I still feel like a true one individual $1 billion business.
okay, you might need some help. You might need a producer. Okay, you might need. You might.
I'm just like look behind a little bit. Like Mr. Beast is not Mr. Beast without his entire team.
Yeah,
where
sure.
he is, right? So
But that entire team doesn't work without Mr. Beast.
Exactly. So, but the concept, I do agree with it. These people are building, they're breaking the normal traditional way of like how you could reach these kind of unfathomable kind of levels of success. So I don't know. I mean,
To me, it's an evolution of how we look at business. You during the assembly line era,
right.
Henry Ford introduced this concept that elevated the man from like a 5 cents he got paid to $5, and he got a decent wage at that time. And then every business was then created based on a system, on a number. Somebody put a number on your back and said, you're number 345, and go to work. And we've created all these factories of humans. But to me, like, the individual is now the new factory. Like, we have so much power more than ever before that the entire model of how we look at work is going to change because the individual has more power than ever before. So, and we're talking about social. Think about AI, right? And the ability to include, you see the exponential nature of ChatGPT or Midjourney, all these different platforms. Like, what is left for humans to do at the end of the day? And I just believe today that the most important asset is distribution, and it's brand, and it's all those things. It's just we're I don't even know what's going to happen to my kids in the future. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, man, it's a mix. It's like the most important thing. All of those like ChatGPT, Midjourney, they all need prompts. They all need someone still creating.
Yeah,
and I think you're right. Henry Ford kind of coined or initiated this push down the assembly line, and for centuries now we've just been assembly line in one way or another. But the creativity that we're seeing now is dynamite, and that will always continue. I think the tools are going to help us create more, create faster, fail faster, fix faster, and that's what the AI is going to be doing for us. What's left for your kids for my kids and for society is like, I mean, I'm pretty biased against the school system, but like, go learn how to create, go learn how to think, go
100%.
learn how to prompt, go
Yep.
learn how to take a vision and put it IRL. Like, that's what's left is figuring out how to execute with the tools that you have at your disposal. How do you learn, and then how do you attribute those learnings to a life's work or to a life's mission, like the dangerous ideas here. You had a vision, you put up the cameras and the studio and had everything, coming through and together. Maybe it wasn't your hands necessarily doing it, but you're using the tools at your disposal to get that. That's what's left and it's a 180 from what the school system was designed for and from what humans have been doing for like centuries.
I agree. I think doubling down on creativity is kind of unlocks like the human touch, the element. If anything, it kind of would like make real art more scarce and more like enjoyable in a weird way. But I mean, I'm just thinking about this. Imagine that there's a version of you, Shawn, who is AI generated.
Oh, that exists, man.
A model of you
Yeah.
who's now creating in the voice of Shawn Kanungo, making this conversation right now. Like, imagine that we just like modeled you to just create this thing. Now, how would you leverage this yourself? Would you use this? Would it be less authentic to you? Or would you just simply create something that's more true to what, like, you still have to almost sign it off, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like unless you're not gonna just let AI Shawn just
Go
say
ham.
whatever he wants.
That'd be crazy though.
That'd be crazy, right?
Well, and that's something that we've never even thought of. It's like, because the one thing about your own personality, your brand is something you've never really been able to scale, right?
Totally.
And for the first time ever, because of that idea,
Yeah.
you can now scale yourself
Yeah.
using artificial intelligence and being able to mimic that individual. I don't know yet. That's a part of that's.
We've been gearing up for this. Like Tupac did it, or they did it for Tupac
I
in
know.
like 2010.
We were talking about
11,
that.
We were
Coachella,
talking
whatever
about
it
that,
was.
Let's talk about that.
but my disagreement with the Tupac hologram model, it was cool when it came out at Coachella. It was absolutely cool. But our society is obsessed with finding people and picking out people that are fake. That's why you have more plates, more dates. This guy's on steroids. This is why we're obsessed with Mindy Kaling. Is she on Ozempic or what? We like to point out what's fake and not. And I don't think
we're searching for authenticity, right? Is
well,
what
that-
you're-
exactly.
yeah.
And I'm not convinced yet that people will want to consume like Kanye AI and Drake AI and Shawn Kanungo AI. I'm not convinced yet because we don't do it today. It's not a natural behavior.
Yeah, I think as long as people are alive, like if I can go to watch a real Kanye versus an AI Kanye, yeah, I'm gonna choose real Kanye. Because
I don't know, man. Are you gonna for $2,000 versus $2?
Well, I think that this is where Kanye has to have the rights to his name and
sure.
whatever, and then I think it'll still be expensive. But I see what you mean.
I think when I got my first cell phone, the cell phone plans was like $2,500 or 2,500 texts a month for whatever it was, and my dad was like, "You're never gonna need that many texts in a month. 2,500 texts,
Right.
That's stupid. Who are you texting? Pick up the phone and call them. That's how people communicate." Right? What we're doing here right now, that's my dad saying, like, now text. I don't pick up the phone at all.
So-
I do not answer the phone. I want you to text me instead. My thing is like, text me instead. Don't call me.
So this actually brings up another concept that I want to bring up here, which is this idea that history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
Yeah.
If you look at other things like the pandemic, you had the Spanish flu, very similar to the pandemic.
Right.
You look in sports, you have dynasties, you have the Bulls, and then you have the Warriors. You see the great wars. They all sort of repeat. They don't repeat, but they rhyme in a way. And I've heard this throughout history. Even what's happening with these technological revolutions. The internet is very simple to the printing press, how it's democratized information around the world. So I always heard this, that not every tech revolution, we've seen this throughout history. The only thing that I am worried about with this AI revolution is that maybe there is, for the first time ever in our society, maybe the first time ever in life, that for some reason, this might be a little bit more different. That what we are seeing today with the AI revolution and the fact that this technology is able to not only commoditize knowledge, but now it's entering into the realm of judgment, that something is different here. And so we're talking about Kanye AI. We're talking about, the ability for the AIs on an exponential scale is something different. And there's something that we have to be worried about when it comes to AI.
Oh yeah, man. Like
It's a heavy topic, man.
Yes, it has judgment. Humans have always had judgment, and we've taken judgment based on our experiences for like throughout history. And I think like right now, AI, ChatGPT has no judgment, right? You can't ask ChatGPT, hey, do you think I should wear a blue sweater or a red sweater today? It has no idea. It doesn't have judgment. It's a really good aggregator of like articles on online, and then summing that up into like human language to distribute to you. But it doesn't really have judgment right now. I think we've yet to see like true judgment. I think like, my experience in my car, like my Tesla car, it drives itself. It's got, maybe you could call it judgment, but you could also just call it like good development. If there's someone in front of you, don't go. That's the command that the Tesla has, right? It doesn't think, that's just a human or that's just a tree. I'm gonna go through it. It just has good development put into it. Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not conscious, not yet. And I think we could get to a place of consciousness, and my head's going down like, have we been there already? Like 10,000 years ago,
well, that's
the
what
Amazon rainforest, and like there's cities there, and there's flushing toilets there. It's like, yo, we've been here before and it wiped us out, and this is just what we're running towards.
Oh, man.
And maybe this is just the cycle, and maybe it does rhyme on a longer scale that we just haven't documented before. But yeah, I would tend to agree that we are running towards something that feels unprecedented. I don't know that we're there yet, and I don't know that we can even say that it's coming because we haven't seen it displayed at a large scale.
And
yet.
and Mo, I want to get your take on it, but it's like if we look at every technological revolution. So if you look at, for example, telephones. They're like, when telephones came out, we're like, this is gonna destroy the concert halls. When bicycles came out, they're like, women are gonna go from one village to another village without even asking. Every that's true. It's because so every technological revolution has this thing that happens. We're always fearing the next piece of technology. And today everyone's talking about, will AI really take our jobs? Will AI take our jobs? And so maybe something is different here. Maybe it will.
Maybe they will. I don't think AI. I think AI is going to augment the jobs, in my personal opinion. I do agree. Yesterday I was watching a video about how fashion houses, I'm not sure if it was like some big fashion house, they're actually starting to do an actual a lookbook using and then actual designs of certain I don't know, some sort of fashion. So yeah, so it is taking the job of like a traditional photographer, stylist, the whole I don't know how many. I'm not in the fashion world, so I don't really know how many people are involved in creating like an actual everything where we wear, how we identify ourselves. But I do think that art at its core has to be started by humans and individuals. They're prompting the AI, but we also have this notion of AI that's like from the movies and pop culture that it's a scary thing.
Terminator's coming for you.
We're gonna whatever. But I think it's inevitable that we have to embrace this to use it in our normal life, of how we can utilize it to build something more out of this world. I'm just already thinking how can I use this in building films and videos, and creatively, how can I implement this and use it in an interesting way? But I'm not thinking big scale. I don't know, that I still have dilemma about it, but I'm not scared from it. I think it's gonna just really change the world in a really impactful way.
Well, I believe that it will. It has to take jobs. I mean, it's just so. It's so damn good. I give this example, and I talk about it in my keynotes. This example of creating a photo Traditionally, you'd have to hire an agency
right.
that would have cost you $50,000-$60,000 to do to have an entire photo shoot, and now you can just go on ChatGPT within seconds and get something that looks super realistic, and that would have taken months, weeks, approvals, a planning budget, marketing, all this stuff to make that photo shoot happen, and we can do that in seconds. And now it's like, so there's definitely a huge destruction of jobs that's going to happen in almost every field, to be honest with you. And so that's why I'm saying that is something different here than what we've ever seen.
Yes.
History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. But this might break the whole paradigm.
Only if it becomes conscious, man. Like
Yeah,
still,
if it becomes
like
conscious, it's game over.
You think about the websites are a pretty good example of this, where like only high budget companies had websites early on because it's all you could afford. You developer, you to host a website was like very, very difficult. Now there's all kinds of like, straight up, you can have a website in like 10 minutes, right? You see all the sponsors on all the different podcasts and stuff, and it's drag and drop for websites. And now, as a result, everybody has a website, and only the good ones advance, and the good ones are still made by an individual in the back understanding the psychology behind what makes a good website, what makes a good landing page, what colors are people, or what are people going to feel when they see these colors, and how does this photo represent my brand? And I think still, again, without the AI consciousness, you're not going to have that level of authenticity behind the brand.
Right. So to me, the thing that I go back to with around this, I guess this AI consciousness piece, or is AI sentient, or is it thinking? I've been actually reading a lot about this, mostly because I'm trying to compare this throughout history. I'm trying to compare this to other technological revolutions, and when new technology comes out, what were the fears of the time? And it's absolutely a fear. That's why Elon and Andrew Yang and all these folks, they put out that letter saying, "Hey, we need to do a 6-month break on AI just to see, get the regulation around it or something. Just put a pause on it because this is going way too fast." And maybe we did that, throughout history as well. But there is something to be said of an AI, the whole idea of reinforcement learning, the fact that it's getting smarter and smarter, and at some point, will it start to desire? Will it start to want to create its own survival? I don't know. So that.
I mean, isn't it just more of like if the person inputs that into the...
Well, that depends if it's sentient or not, right? Like isn't that's the debate? And is it possible? Like
I have no idea, bro.
Did the guy that made Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator program him to no, right? But that's what happened when the AI takes over.
I just feel like we have a negative connotation around AI that once it becomes like, all the robots are going to take us over, but it's not really just robots. It's just more about how can we use it into advance human civilization. Like, that's the way I see it. Like, how can we work together? But then, if it does become sentient and it just destroys us, then, well, we're doomed. We're doomed.
That'll be a big problem.
Yeah.
So I want to switch gears a bit, going on the idea of concepts and frameworks. So the third, we talked about two concepts. I'm going to bring up the third concept, which is completely off the whole AI piece.
Okay.
Is this idea of the spotlight effect. The spotlight effect. The idea that we overestimate how much people care about our shit, which often actually prevents us from doing things at the end of the day.
Bro.
I call it the the first generation immigrant phrase, which is what will people say. We get so consumed with what will people say that it prevents us from doing the things that we want to do in life. And I sometimes I reflect on my own conversations on the conversations that I have with my own friends, and they're like, "Oh, what are you up to?" Or what are you doing? Or what was that thing? And they don't even know. And they're like some of my closest friends. And you have to sit back and say they're not I mean, they love me and I love them, but they're not paying attention to everything that you're doing. And we're always so consumed with what people think when really no one is really thinking about you. And I actually find that incredibly inspiring. I find that incredibly inspiring that no one really gives a shit about you, even the people that are closest to you. And it's inspiring to me because it allows you to do whatever you have to do, like take the shot, start something new, fail a little bit more. And so I have to remind myself every single day that, when people are not really thinking about you that much. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I 100% agree with that point. I think like once you shift your mindset to exactly what you're thinking, it kind of liberates you to just truly execute any desirable thing that you truly are passionate about creating. And I get stuck too much about my perfectionist brain about how like, oh man, I need to put out a video. I mean, I haven't posted anything in 2 years. Like, I'm like, why? Like,
Streets are waiting.
Streets are truly waiting. Like, I'm just like, why are you not posting? There's various factors, but they're all excuses at the end of the day. Like, there's nothing really stopping me. And I think I've fundamentally changed my mindset to kind of that spotlight effect. Like, I truly don't care what anyone thinks. And it's not really my circle of friends that I'm trying to create content for or talk about it. It's really I'm trying to find a tribe that truly believes of what I want to talk about, and like they want to just simply like have fun with the stuff I'm creating and create like a kind of a domino effect with other creators like you guys, and see like we all are passionate about learning from each other. Like you have a completely different world that I'm curious about to learn about. Same with you, Shawn. You inspire me all the time when we're doing all these things behind the scenes, and you're talking about all these things, and it's just my brain's like always thinking about all the things you're talking about. But so the spotlight effect, it is real. It exists. It's 100% there, and I think that as soon as you accept the fact that no one cares about you, not accept it, you should believe it. Like I think it's a true statement, and I 100% agree with it. That's all I can say to it.
Yeah, man, you got to lean into that. I mean, you think about like the early first successful creators were the ones, they were training for this their whole life. They were bullied in school. They were like, and you hear the story, and then it was a survival technique to not care about what people thought because they couldn't, because if they did, they wouldn't be here probably, or they would be, whatever. I'm going on that path, but like, and that spotlight effect is so true. I heard this similar concept talking about, when you're walking down like in a busy building, you don't want to walk to the front because what are people going to say? Or I'm walking in late to like church or whatever. Yeah. And then you realize the moment that you walk in and sit down, like no one's there to see you walk down the aisle, right? Like unless you're a bride, like no one is there to see you walk down the aisle, and you just got to walk to your spot and sit down. And that's if you take that same mindset to like what you're talking about, the spotlight effect, it'll pay dividends for sure.
And people forget too. Like they just forget.
Totally.
Like they just like
how many times
unless you're being canceled. If you're being canceled, there's no one's forgetting anything.
Even when Logan Paul got canceled, they moved past it.
Yeah. See that
and that was huge.
Or
right?
did he redeem him? Like did people forget, or did he redeem himself? Is because that still comes up amongst his haters.
I think it's both.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you look at somebody like Logan Paul, who's been able to do, I mean, he just had this crypto scam that a lot of people are talking about. Obviously, that Japanese suicide thing, many years ago, and people don't talk about that. If you actually go on the street and you see kids are holding Prime, they're
dude, Kim Kardashian is holding Prime.
Yeah, I didn't see that yet, but
it's crazy. So
it's this idea that you have to continuously be comfortable with yourself. You have to be comfortable with failure at the end of the day. I mean, these are cliches at the end of the day, but I think about it like in my own life. There's been times where you're just so focused on this particular thing, or you're like a video that's coming out, you're like perfecting it to the nth degree, when really you work on it for months and months, and then you put it out, and then you're like, ah, shit, you're so worried, and then really no one really talks about the things that you're worried about, So you have to take those shots. It's interesting because like in our community, maybe it's just that immigrant mindset where our parents, they want us to do something very traditional. I see so many of my friends they want to do this. They want to create content. They want to put their ideas out in the world. But really what's stopping them is like they just, at the end of the day, it's like how do I look, right? Like, oh, does it all match up? How do I look? Oh, I look stupid. I'm pausing here. Can we change it? And then they never do anything with that content. It doesn't go out in the world. And I actually believe that this is one of the things, or it might be the primary reason why people don't take risks, is because of this spotlight effect. And I was talking to another friend just recently, and he studies all the greatest books. He is a student of all the greatest motivational books, self-help books, and yet something is holding him back. And it's just this reason that he's afraid to put himself out in the world because of what people will think. And the more that people can see that no one cares about you, the more that you are able to take some risks.
Yeah, man, liberating is that's for sure the word. I mean, you think about like Mr. Beast, like the biggest, not even arguably, just the biggest creator on the planet right now.
Yep.
He got his start by just like counting to 1 million. He just sat on a live stream for like, I don't know, 40 hours, something like that. Just counted up to 1 million, saying like famous people's names 100,000 times. Like, what a stupid thing to do.
Totally.
Like, who is going to watch that? Is what the majority of people are going to be saying is why you're preparing to do that. But he did it. He went out. He had his reasons. He wanted to do it. Thought it would be funny. Off he goes. And now anything he touches, snaps his fingers. He can open up anything. He's got that mass distribution. And he's good to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
he built that muscle, like the consistent muscle of like repetition about not giving a shit, not caring what people think of what he thinks, and he was true believer in his trajectory that he wants to build something on YouTube, because to him YouTube is like God.
Yeah.
Right. But I want to just also talk about the point about this, like not just immigrants, but I feel like a large population are stuck in that mindset. And if you just like look at the entire world
totally
versus like that circle of friends that you're just thinking about, not friends, the circle of people that you care about, what they're going to think about you, clearly that is not even a fraction. That's just like a dot and like in comparison to the entire world. So why do we get stuck? Yeah, it's human habit to just care about that, but I think also stems from our parents, because they instilled in like this like idea that doing what we're doing is not a normal trajectory. And sure, it's not a normal trajectory, but if you want to voice your opinion in this world and how we live and how things are moving forward, I mean, we're just talking about AI, how it's disrupting everything. Clearly, you got to double down on these things and just experiment and taste and have fun with it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I would say to it.
I love the idea that you're just a speck, and we forget that there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's 192,000 years of people living on this earth. Somebody made a great analogy that if you actually took in the entire human history, or you took the entire history of the planet, we would just be like, we would be like
in a 1 minute film or whatever.
Yeah. Or like with like 100 pages, we would be like on the 97th page or something like that. It's just remarkable. But this actually brings up my next concept, which is the idea that, to the Mr. Beast point, which is be romantic about the process, not the outcome. Be romantic about the process and not the outcome, because we often get so obsessed with how is this thing going to perform, or how am I going to do, that we forget about the journey at the end of the day. I'll give you a personal example. I remember I got a TEDx. Somebody invited me to speak at a TEDx, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, this is going to vault me in terms of speaking at the end of the day. And is that like an opera singer somewhere?
Cat dying?
Yeah. So this example of, so I got this TEDx. I was really excited about it. I don't know. TEDx, by the way, totally not valuable, but totally saturated. Totally saturated.
That was my next play, man. What are you talking about?
So I was really excited about doing this TEDx. I thought it went really well. Something happened with the mic at the beginning of it, but they recorded it. I thought I did really well at this TEDx, and then I was waiting for it to come out. I was waiting. I waited. I was like watching that TEDx channel to see when it would come out, and then it finally dropped. and I was like super excited. I'm like, this is it. This is like I wasn't like doing like a ton of keynotes at the time, so I was like, oh, this is it. This is gonna like super fuel my like.
Wait for the
speaking
phone
business.
to ring, man.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be crazy. And then the video was a dud, and it didn't really perform. It probably has like a couple thousand people on YouTube that has watched it, and it just didn't look great. And I was like, what was I waiting for? That didn't do anything for my career. It didn't do anything. And I got so romantic about what that video could do that I didn't even enjoy the process. And at the end, that's why I just enjoy the process now. I have hundreds of videos that have no views on it. I am still in the mud, but I'm fucking enjoying it. And I'm not getting romantic about the outcome at the end of the day. And that moment kind of changed how I look at things. And I'm like, I'm never going to get romantic about the outcome.
Dude, I also have a similar experience where like I was daily vlogging for a long time in my life and like no views and not making interesting enough videos, like not even anything deserving of a view. And I noticed it changed. I did have one go like semi-viral, a couple 100K views.
The Logan Paul.
Before that, actually,
Okay.
When I bought my Tesla, I didn't my first Tesla. I didn't tell my wife that I bought it. I went and picked it up, drove it home, and then like filmed the like
reaction.
Hey babe, bought a big fancy expensive car. Hope you don't mind kind of video. She's such, I don't know how she puts up with me. And that one like took off a little bit, and I got a lot of subs, or like quite a few subs overnight. And the video was like performing, and then everything after that was like what you're saying. Like, okay, this one, this is gonna be even better. This is a way better video. This was way better produced. I put way more time into this. Dud.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? And then you put Logan Paul in a few videos, and like that feeling comes back. Same thing, couple 100K views, lots more subs. But what I was doing was I wasn't making content for me. There's no longevity in that process, right? That's fine for a quick hit. That's fine. That's some super high time preference garbage to be just making stuff for other people, what you think will perform well. If you're, like you said, people are hunting for authenticity. And if you're just making content that you think other people, if you're romanticizing the outcome, which is really other people's opinions, if you're romanticizing that, then you're bang on. It's never going to have longevity and it won't work. But if you fall in love with the process, you're going to pump out, and people enjoy watching whatever you enjoy producing, whatever you enjoy, whatever your process is. That's the holy grail. I mean, I think like all these big creators that we've been talking about today, that's the secret. It's like, what do? Whatever the hell they want at all times. Yeah. And people have fallen in love with their authenticity, their brand, the way they do it, their spin, their take, whatever it might be. Yeah. And it's untouchable because they're not making stuff for me. They're not making stuff for you, for us. Yeah. They're making stuff for them. And then they're giving us the privilege of watching it. And when you take that mindset in, it's like, whoa, what a change. What a change.
Yeah, it's funny because the two things kind of popped up from what you guys were talking about. It's kind of attention and finding your voice. So with the attention piece is kind of like, where are people watching stuff, right? And Gary was talking about it the other day where he's like, if everything died right now and the paper press is where everything is at, I'm like going ham on paper press and putting out marketing. So the reason I'm mentioning that because the process clearly is about getting out our voice, right? Technically speaking, you want to express yourself.
Distribution.
You want to be heard. Distribution, correct. And then finding your voice is something that every person has to go through that process, right? We're all inspired by so many different people, and eventually you start finding that thing you want to talk about, which goes back to your authenticity. Because if you're just like putting out garbage stuff without having actually a true vision of like, that's what I really want to do, which by the way, it will change. It's never going to be the same. It's always going to change, but that's what I kind of fall down to. And then the only example I can think of right now off the top of my head is Casey Neistat. Before he even daily vlogged, he created the Neistat Brothers, which was sold on HBO, right? And then this thing is like he was so convinced, and by the way, this is just based on the video I've watched about him, so I don't know the guy, but he was so convinced about this show, like it's HBO, like come on, like
it's 10x,
it's 10x, right? He drops this thing, and then like no one cared, no one cared, and he was like. And I think they got like maybe $2.5 million. I mean, don't quote me on that, but he got a pretty good amount of money for it. But it was kind of like dead. Like no one cared. his like son at the time, still son, but wasn't like watching. Like he's like, oh, did your friends talk about it? Like no one cared, right? And fast forward, which is exactly what he did on the Neistat Brothers like HBO show, which is like daily vlogging. That's essentially what they were doing. Did it on YouTube. Night and day, like
Totally.
night and day. It was just like obviously the first month.
But yeah, not on day one.
Not on day
right?
one.
Not with
No.
with an episode.
No.
It's every few weeks,
which is what I'm saying.
and
He
like,
was finding his voice, but
Yeah.
but he already was doing that, right? So if anything, all you're doing now, Shawn, is just like you're kind of like you were like you were stuck on like this one piece of content is gonna blow up, but now all you're deciding to do is like why don't you just do it every day, every single day of my life, like.
Well, and I actually see this, obviously we use the video example, to me it relates to anything. It relates to, I'm going to get this designation and it's going to change everything. I'm going to get this certification. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get this title. I'm going to get this status. I'm going to get this position. I'm going to get something and this is going to change everything. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym and it's just if you enjoy the process, if you get romantic about the process, that's where you should get your happiness from, not from the outcome at the end of the day.
You're gonna unlock everything.
100%. It's how you future-proof yourself.
100%.
Right? That's it. If you fall in love with the process, you're not doing stuff for other people, right? Like you said, this car, this girlfriend, this partner, this whatever, this transformation is irrelevant because you'll need another one.
Yeah.
All it is just dopamine hits coming into your brain. That's it. That's all anything is.
Yeah.
And but the process, if you can have a continual drip, if you're falling in love with that process, that's it forever. Till the day you die.
It's not about metrics or numbers, none of that, to be honest with you. And I know people get stuck with that. It's easy to get stuck in that. But yeah, I think the process is where you will achieve greatness.
Absolutely. So I want to get to the last concept, which is actually a concept that I saw Elon tweet out, and I don't know if it's, if he got it from somewhere else, but it's the idea that the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. The most entertaining outcome is the most likely.
Makes me think right away about how he changed the Twitter thing to Doge the other day.
And I think the reason why, by the way,
this guy's a meme factory, bro.
I think the reason why he did that was because it was probably like a April Fool's Day prank,
dude.
And they were just like they were just late on it. They're like, okay, let's just
no, dude. So I'm gonna go on a quick 30-second tangent about this.
Okay.
I think the SEC. Because he had all that. Like he's a big target in the SEC's mind right now. He had all of that Doge talk. How he was going to do all this stuff. He's going to buy Twitter, put Doge as the logo. He was talking all about all that time. Doge is pump. I think if he doesn't do it, I think he's worried the SEC actually comes after him and is like, hey, you said you were going to do all these things. You manipulated this security.
Maybe this is why. I don't know if you saw yesterday. He tweeted where the landlord wouldn't allow him to remove the W from the San Francisco headquarters of Twitter because it would be like Titter.
Yeah. I saw that.
And then he's like, so we painted it white. So now it says Titter. It's
man, meme factory.
So the idea of the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. When I read that, it kind of is true. And I'll give you the counter argument to it as well. But if you look at the world, we just love drama. We love entertainment. We love the attention.
Oh, yeah.
Things like Elon buying Twitter. It sounds like a crazy outcome. Or, COVID shutting down the world for 2 years. The Tiger Woods comeback story. We love these unbelievable stories. We are obsessed with it. And is it the truth that the most entertaining outcome is the most likely? Now, the only counterpoint to this is that maybe because the most entertaining outcome gets the most attention, so that sits in our brain a little bit easier. Because the most entertaining outcomes, we see it more often, that we think the most entertaining outcome becomes more likely. But I just look at the world. I'm like, Trump, he's getting arrested, but he might come back and win the 2024 election. I just think that it seems like the world is the world of is just uncertain, and it's continuing to get more uncertain. I did read some stats and some research, like scientific research, that says that in fact the world is becoming more uncertain. And so I guess I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this idea that the most entertaining outcome is the most likely.
Yeah, back to, I mean, it's what we talked about off the top, right? It's that distribution. The only thing that matters is engagement, this attention economy. And so what gets attention? It's entertainment. And I think I was a little bit repulsed by that statement at first, thinking actually the opposite. So,
okay.
So much that, like, the thought that the most likely outcome is the most entertaining, not so much that the most entertaining is the most likely. And when I flip my mindset towards, well, what makes things likely, and it's how much attention does one get, and what gets attention, it's only entertaining things. But there are, like you said it, I mean, Masters views would have quintupled, it would have gone up exponentially if Tiger's in the hunt on Sunday, and he's not.
He's not, yeah.
And so that would have been the most entertaining, but didn't happen, unfortunately. And so I do think, and I mean, by his own accord, really, right?
Yeah.
Like, he pulled out, he was
Yeah.
injured. And so is the most entertaining the most likely? I'm not sure. Does what is most entertaining have a head start
Yes.
to become likely? 100%.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if Bill Gates goes to buy Twitter, no one's batting an eye, right? Nobody
Yeah.
cares about Bill Gates buying.
Yeah, it makes me think of like people who are polarizing, or people with like the loudest voice in some ways that are the most entertaining, that we like to see what the hell they're doing in a weird way. I don't know, like, no one's gonna care what we're doing entertaining at this stage in our lives. I don't know. I mean,
So, yeah, listen, the only reason why I bring this up is
Yeah.
because I believe that as our world becomes more digital, as we become more screen based, you know, back in the day, if you wanted to, hear the radio, you get in the car, you turn on the radio. When you want to watch TV, you go to the living room. You want to go on the computer, you go to the computer room, and everything has been reduced to the screen.
yeah,
And in a sense, everything becomes entertainment at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel like we are actually we're all in the business of entertainment in a way, because we're actually all on a screen, whether you think you are or not. Like, if you're in a business of accounting or law or anything, that you are actually in the business of entertainment, that you're trying to get people to pay attention to you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I think we forget just how many things are actually just entertainment.
Well, I'm just looking also at human behavior. I think I'd be sending out like funny memes to people all the time, which is entertainment. Like, if I like
For some.
yeah, for some. But I mean, like, but I think just the normal things that we do, like, even when I'm watching YouTube,
Yeah.
am I watching it to learn something? I'd use it for both education and entertainment. I don't use it for anything else. Like,
Oh man, we're in this age right now where gamified education, like that edutainment
Yeah.
niche,
Maybe.
is growing like
yeah,
crazy.
maybe
Yeah.
there's like a connection between those
For
two.
sure there is, because you, like, your process is learning. Your process, that is what, and it will continue to grow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That is what entertains you.
Yeah.
You're gonna see it as like, oh, I could sit here and watch another sitcom or another vlog or whatever, or I could learn about this cool thing that I'm in love with because I'm in love with the process.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still. I like the steak. I don't know what to think about it.
Well, listen, I think that's why I'm trying to bring up these concepts and frameworks that that will change people's life. And the reason why this will change people's life is that you have to understand that if the most entertaining outcome is the most likely outcome, you have to have a mindset that, unfortunately, everyone is just entertaining themselves to death. That the idea that people are just so addicted. We're just always looking for entertainment.
Yeah.
We're always we're getting on a screen. We're talking to somebody else. We're always looking for that entertainment, and we just have to understand that's what wins at the end of the day. Unfortunately, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the truth.
I don't know if it is unfortunate. I think that with anything, it's an addiction. Like, every good thing becomes an addiction if it's unchecked and unfettered. And if you can, fall in love with learning and fall in love with bettering yourself, and if that becomes your entertainment, then there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I mean, I guess there can be.
I think, for example, I'll give you an example, like a podcast. I love podcasts. I love consuming content. I love consuming podcasts. But at some point, I think it just becomes porn because it's not helpful, and it's not. It's just like it's
It
not
depends
helpful.
what it's for. I mean, if it's there to teach you how to podcast, and then if watching podcasts prevents you from ever, then yeah, totally agree. If it prevents you from,
That's what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't consuming content constantly prevent you from exploring your own creative mind at the end of the day, like sitting in silence, being bored at the end of the day? And I'm not the best person for this because I love content. I love understanding what's happening in the world. I love learning from all these different realms. But at some point, does it turn into like I'm just entertaining myself to death?
dude, and you're a machine watching stuff at like 2x. That's
I know.
That's hard.
I know. This is
As a savage, man.
savage. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that in this economy, the gap in society is being defined by who can find the balance of entertainment, education, and production, and who can't. And I think that the ultimate artist, the ultimate entertainer, the victor of life will be the individual that is able to find the perfect balance of being able to be entertained enough to create, creating enough to produce, and producing enough to run out of ideas to then need to, again, go be entertained in order to create. And you need that balance.
absolutely, and that's why. Listen, that's why we're doing this. And by the way, I just want to dangerous ideas. I want to thank you guys for being on this first inaugural episode of Dangerous Ideas. And I also want to give a plug. I want to give a plug to your guys' shows, upcoming shows. Do you guys want to give a little plug to it? Because we're going to be doing this, I'm hoping, on each other's shows and plugging each other's shows. So do you want to give a plug to your show?
Yeah, man. So my show is still TBD. We had a big leadership retreat, and it was very much like amongst the company, like my content is where my focus needs to be. So that's what's going on. You heard me say it earlier, future proof. I am all about future proofing yourself and all about, your finances, your body, your mind, your family. Like not your physical self, but if you can't sustain 2, 3, 4, 5 centuries, then you got to be better. And so that's what the show eventually will be. I'm a few weeks away from like buttoning it up, but it's been a work in progress.
Weeks? Come on, let's
I know.
We got this.
What did we just talk
studio.
about? What did we just talk about? Right? The analysis paralysis.
Right.
Of getting started. Maybe I should just jump in. What are you guys doing right now? But follow me on Twitter and on YouTube, Adam OB. And
Perfect.
Looking forward to more stimulating conversation with Mr. Shawn Kanungo.
Yeah, no, well, thank you for having us on this episode 1. The Dangerous Ideas has been an eye-opening for sure. I mean, I always hear you about it, but talking to you about it is even better. For me and my brother Maz, co-partner, co-host, co-everything, this guy's a creative genius in his own, I guess, right? We are creating a show as of now. It's called The Mo You Know, and it's following it's entertainment and education, following the pop culture, filmmaking, movies, music,
Some reviews, maybe.
Sorry,
Reviews, maybe.
reviews. Honestly, it's just kind of like figuring out our like voices in the process. So this is kind of goes back to the point.
Yeah.
We're literally, the name might even change. We just want to create for the sake of creating because we consume so much that we feel like, you know what, we should share this to the world.
Time to give back.
Yeah, it's time to give back. So that's essentially it. Like we have no socials created for it, nothing. We're just gonna put it out into the world and just keep making it work. That's literally it, man.
Amazing. Well, boys, I can't wait for your shows. I'm going to plug them every time we do this. And listen, if you've gotten this far in Dangerous Ideas, this is the first episode. So if you could Yeah, well, what the kids say, yeah, hit subscribe.
That's right.
Follow on Spotify, wherever you are.
Talk to
do your
them.
thing.
Let them know.
And that would be really helpful. And we'll see you on the next one.